Welcome everyone. Let's begin our lesson for today by going over the learning goals and success criteria. First, what are we learning? We're learning how to find the y-intercept of a linear function given the slope and a point on the line, how to find the equation of a line given the slope and a point on the line, and how to manipulate the slope and y-intercept to change the steepness and location of a graph to suit the needs of a question. How are we learning it? Through the point-slope form notes and the point-slope form assignment, as well as the linear functions marble slides activity assignment. When can we use this information? To improve your ability to read between the lines and fill in gaps that are not given, such as putting together a bookcase with directions that are incomplete, and to complete a variety of tasks through trial and error rather than having to be formally taught the procedures. How do we know we learned it? By getting a score of 4 on the point slope form assignment and a 4 on the linear functions marble slides activity assignment. Now let's take a look at our agenda for today. We will begin by going over our learning goals and success criteria. While we do that, you'll fill out your Get It Started. Once you've completed your Get It Started, we'll go over it together and answer any questions that you may have. After that, we'll go over the point slope form notes, and then I'll give you time to complete the point slope form assignment. Once you've completed the assignment, we'll go over it together and answer any questions that you may have. As we get towards the end of class, we'll go over the linear functions marble slides activity on Desmos. At the end of class, we'll go back over our learning goals and success criteria while you fill out your before you go. Your homework for tonight is to complete the linear functions marble slides activity and to continue working on the linear equations and inequality study guide and any incomplete assignments that you may have. Let's take a look now at the point slope form notes. We begin by taking a look at our learning goals and success criteria. Now let's talk about slope. What is slope? Slope is a rate of change involving x values and y values. Slope is known as for being the change in the dependent variable over the change in the independent variable. Now what does that really mean? That really means that slope is the change in the y values over the change in the x values. So it's always y over x. And the next part you need to know is the y-intercept. The y-intercept is the point where the linear function crosses the y-axis. So we have a line here, and we can see that the y-axis goes here. So where do they intersect? Well, they intersect right there. That is what we call the y-intercept. So in this case, our y-intercept would be 2. Slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is written as y equals mx plus b. And what does that mean? M is the slope, and b is the y-intercept. Y and x are my variables that stay variables so that I can plug numbers in and see what they come out to be. So m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Now how can I remember that? The easiest way I remember this is m represents the slope because it's a slippery slope to get hung up on your x. So think about it in terms of relationships. People that are involved in relationships and they break up, there's usually that one person in that relationship that's always hanging on to the relationship that's already dead. That's the slope. That's M. It's a slippery slope to get hung up on your ex. They are not together anymore. But the M is always trying to hang on. Notice how close they are. So M is trying to hang on, and it's a slippery slope to get hung up on your ex. Now B, on the other hand, is alone. Not attached to anybody. B is lonely. And lonely people ask the questions, why am I alone? Why does no one want me? Why does no one think I'm cute? That's B. B is always asking the why questions. Those are the y-intercept questions. So that's the way I remember it. It's a slippery slope to get hung up on your ex. And why am I alone? So that's the way I remember slope and y-intercept. Now what is point slope form? We use point slope form if we know the slope and one point on the line. We can still create the equation for the line even though we don't have the y-intercept. And here's how we do it. We know that slope is y equals mx plus b, and we plug in the slope for m. So whatever the slope that's given to us, we plug that in for m. We plug in the x value of the coordinate. So we're given some ordered pair, and we're going to plug in the x part here, and we plug in the y coordinate here, and now we're left with only one variable, which is b, And we could solve then for b and get the y-intercept. So let's take a look at an example of this. So it says, what is the equation of the line through 3, -2 with a slope of 2/3? So first thing is we take our y equals mx plus b, and we're going to plug in what we know. We'll plug in the slope first. So the slope is 2/3. That goes in for m. So now this says y equals 2/3 x plus b. Then we'll plug in the x value of the point we know. Well, the x value is 3, so we plug that in for x. And then we plug in the y value for y, which in this case is -2, so we plug that in for y. And we get -2 is equal to 2/3 times 3 plus b. Now we can solve for b. Well, we get 2/3 times 3, so which when we multiply this out, we get 6/3, which is the same thing as 2. So we got -2 is equal to 2 plus b. Now we just solve by subtracting 2 from both sides. And we're left with b is equal to -2 minus 2 is -4. So b is -4. So that is the y-intercept. Now we can put that into the equation. So we have y equals 2/3, because that was our slope, x, and b is -4, so that's our equation. Now let's look at another example. We have -4, -1 as our point, and the slope is -2. So we're going to start with y equals mx plus b, and then we're going to plug in what we know. Well, we know the slope is -2, so that goes in for m. So this becomes y equals -2x plus b. Then we're going to plug in our x value. Well, our x value is -4, so we're going to plug that in for x. So this becomes y equals -2 times -4 plus b. Then we plug in our y value. Our y value is -1, and that goes in for y. So this is -1 equals -2 times -4 plus b. Now we just solve for b. Well, -2 times -4 is positive 8. So that's -1 is equal to 8 plus b. We're going to get rid of this 8 by subtracting. So we subtract 8 from both sides. And we get -1 minus 8 is -9. That's equal to b. Now we plug this back into our y equals mx plus b form. Y equals -2x. And then our b is -9, so it's -9. Let's look at one more example. We're given a point 4, 2 and the slope of -3/2. So we're going to use the form y equals mx plus b, and we're going to plug in the slope for m, which is -3/2. So that goes there. And we're going to plug 4 in for x there. So we got y equals -3/2 times 4 plus b. Then we're going to plug 2 in for y, which is here. So it becomes 2 equals -3/2 times 4 plus b. Now we're going to go ahead and solve for b. So when we do this, we get -12/2, which is the same thing as -6. So 2 equals -6 plus b. We're going to add 6 to both sides to get rid of that 6, and we get 2 plus 6 is 8. So b is 8. Now we're going to plug that back in. So we get y equals, and we know that the slope is -3/2 times x plus our y-intercept, which in this case is 8. So that goes there, and that's how we write the equation using point-slope form. Let's take a look now at the point-slope form assignment. So if we look, the assignment begins with the learning goals and success criteria here at the top. If we scroll down, we get to the questions that we need to answer. So it says, what is the slope of the linear function below? Well, we can see that the slope here is -6 because it's the number that's attached to the x. Remember, it's a slippery slope to get hung up on your x. So -6. So I'm going to go ahead and put that as my answer. And I'm going to scroll down. It says, what is the y-intercept of the function below? Well, we can see that it's the lonely one. Why am I alone? So it's the lonely one, which is -5. And then you're going to continue to answer each of these questions. So we'll do one more. So this one says negative 4 is equal to negative 2 times 4 plus b. So we need to solve for b. So negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. So it's negative 8 plus b. We'll add 8 to both sides, and we get negative 4 plus 8 is positive 4. So b is positive 4. So we're going to go ahead and mark that as our answer. And then we're going to go ahead and scroll down to the bottom. We're going to keep answering all the questions. Once we get done with all of the questions, we're going to get to the bottom and we're going to click Next. And that should take you to your Before You Go. You'll answer your Before You Go and then submit your work on Google Classroom.